Let me call to order this Mayor Commission work session. Today is Monday, January 12th, and the time is 10:03 a.m. Some of the commissioners are either en route or won't be able to make it, so we will go ahead and get started. Item number one, West Palm Beach Police Pension Fund update. Mr. Frost, do you want to tee it off, or Ms. Johnson, you going to tee it off and then get it handed over to Mr. Frost?
Mr. Frost is.
All right. Jack?
Thank you, Mayor. My name is Jack Frost. I have the pleasure and honor of being the chair of the West Palm Beach Police Pension Fund. And on behalf of my fellow trustees, there are a total of 5 of us: Dana Fragakis, Sean Williams, Captain Joe Ahern, and Sergeant Sarah Yost. She's came on because Captain Troy retired. So, Troy Marchese. So, with that said, I'd like to turn it over to our actuary, Jeff Ambrose.
Thank you, Jack, and good morning. Everyone could hear me?
Yes, good morning.
See what happens when an actuary speaks early in the morning on a Monday? No one comes to see me. But it's good to be here with you today. My name is Jeff Ambrose. I'm an actuary for work at Gabriel Roeder Smith & Company. Over 30 years of experience. I've been the consulting actuary for the West Palm Beach Police Pension Plan for over 15 years now. Today, I would like to provide an overview of the state of the West Palm Beach Police Pension Plan. And I'll keep my presentation to 15-20 minutes as I have in prior years, but feel free to ask any questions as I go along. You don't have to wait till the end, make it as interactive as possible. As some of you may remember, I presented a similar overview back in April of 2024. Since that time, there's been several assumption changes in the plan, and we'll talk about those as part of today's conversation. These assumption changes were reflected in our 2024 valuation report, which is our latest report. In addition to these changes, the investment return for fiscal year ending 2024 and fiscal year ending 2025 were both very good, very strong investment returns, which helps stabilize contributions and just helps the nature of the pension plan. There has been continued upward pressure on the required city contribution in the last 2 reports as the investment return for fiscal year ending 22 was brought into the calculation. We further recognize that. And fiscal year ending 22 was a challenging year investment-wise, not just for this pension plan, but for all pension plans. The return here was negative 16.4% and was still bringing those losses into the calculation. So the required city contribution has increased by about $4.2 million when comparing the October 123 to the October 124 reports. Was about $8 million in our 2023 report and about $12.3 million in our 2024 report. I'm going to stand up just so I just realized. I saw all of you looking. I'm like, I think I'm...
Yeah.
I was trying to let you get to a breaking point.
Yeah. Very good. And I'm not even in the presentation yet, but I will be shortly. So it wasn't too long ago that we had some big issues. In 2014, the required city contribution was very elevated, and it was increasing each year. We just had a $10 million required city contribution, which was increasing and increasing and increasing. The funded ratio, one measure of the health of the retirement plan, was decreasing and decreasing and decreasing. And the level of benefits for the police officers was also being reduced during that period of time as state money was going to fund the pension plan instead of going to the offices via a share plan. So since 2014, there have been significant changes in the health of the retirement system. Today we'll discuss 2 main reasons for the improvement of the health of the retirement plan. And we've talked about these in the past, but the issuance of the $50 million pension obligation bond was good. It put money into the plan, but it is doing fantastic. The return that's generating versus what's being paid to the bondholders is really, really helpful. And in addition to that, and we'll talk about that in detail soon, in addition to that, the strong investment returns in this pension plan have really, really helped control things. So we'll also talk about how, as I said, the pension obligation bond, how that's been working out for the city, the current level of the required city contribution, the assumption changes reflected in our most recent report, what we know about future required contributions. Where are they going? Are they going to go up, down, or stay the same? We'll talk about that. and a comparison of the West Palm Beach Police Pension Plan to other Florida public pension plans. So we will start out, slides 3 through 8 of our presentation review the plan provisions. How are benefits calculated for the members when they retire? It covers the regular benefit, drop plan benefits, share plan benefits. I don't want to go through this largely because it will take a half hour just to go through that section. So at any time, if people look through slides 3 to 8 and have questions, always feel free to give me a call or Jack a call, and we could go through those with you. But we'll start really at slide 9.
Give him the call.
We'll start at slide 9 to discuss the history of the pension obligation bond. Again, in July of 2016, the proceeds from a $50 million pension obligation bond were deposited into this pension plan. As a result of these deposits, the funded ratio increased, that's a good thing, and the required city contribution decreased. Turning to slide 10, we can see that the issuance of the pension obligation bond has worked out fantastic for the city. The investment return on the $50 million, so $50 million was put into the pension plan, that has now turned into $94.3 million in the pension plan. So an investment return of $44.3 million. On the flip side, the city has to pay the bondholders for the issuance of that bond. Well, they've paid $14.3 million. So that difference between the $44.3 million and the $14.3 million, $30 million, the return has exceeded what the city is paying out to the bondholders.
That is now up to, as of the end of September, to gain of $36 million.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And timing is everything. The timing of the issuance of this bond was fantastic. It really it worked out great. So if we go to slide 11, as discussed before, in addition to the issuance of the pension obligation bond, with the exception of fiscal year ending 22, which was a really bad investment year for all pension plans, strong investment returns have really helped stabilize things in this pension plan. So looking at the returns on slide 11, we see that the investment returns the plan has seen since 2012, and they're listed there. For those 12 years, you'll see that the average return was 9.3% per year. It doesn't reflect the returns for fiscal year ending 2025, but I spoke with Jack, and that return was just a little bit short of 9%. So again, very, very strong. We're assuming that the fund earns 7% every year. So anything north of 7% is a victory. If we turn to slide 13, we see the results from our October 1, 2024. This is our most recent actual evaluation report. And that determined the required city contribution for the fiscal year we're currently in, fiscal year ending September 30th, 2026. So there are two components of the required city contribution. This gets just a slight bit technical, but I'll keep it high level. The first component is the employer normal cost, and essentially this just represents the value of the accruals from the active police officers each year. It also includes the administrative expenses, which are about $400,000. So the employer normal cost, as you can see from here, is $7.5 million, or 24.33% of covered payroll. And that does include the $400,000 in administrative expenses, which is about 8 basis points of plan assets. And that's lower when I compare it to my other pension plans across the state of Florida. So that's good news. The second part of the required contribution are the amortization payments on the unfunded accrued liability. And based on the Florida statute, when there are changes in the unfunded accrued liability, the plan pays for these changes over a period of time not to exceed 30 years. And you can see here that the amortization payments on the unfunded accrued liability are $7.36 million, or 23.84% of covered payroll. So it's also important to note that further down on this slide, you can see the application of the contribution stabilization reserve, which we'll talk about more soon, is used to offset the required city contribution. So from this slide, if you add up the two components of the required contribution, the normal cost and amortization payments, and you net out the application of the contribution stabilization reserve, you'll end up with the final contribution for the city, for the fiscal year we're currently in, a little bit less than $12.3 million. And this is a $4.2 million increase in the required city contribution from the prior evaluation report, where it was $8.02 million. And we'll talk about that shortly. So let's go to slide 16. And here you'll see some of the other funding metrics of the plan. And you'll see that the funded ratio, which is essentially how much of the liability of the plan is covered by the plan assets. So right now we are at, or as of October 1, 24, we're at a funded ratio of 84.3%. And that's a good position. So, when we all have, or some of us have mortgages on houses, if you have almost 85% of your mortgage paid off, that's a good thing. So essentially that's what's going on here. It's in line with the average of 140 pension plans that we service out of our Fort Lauderdale office. So that's also positive. Slide 17 reviews the supplemental pension distribution and the contribution stabilization reserve. There was no supplemental pension distribution payment for 2005. Why? Because the plan was in a cumulative loss position of a little bit over $65 million, so no supplemental pension distribution was paid. Further down on that slide, you'll see in 2021, there was a contribution stabilization reserve set up, and the goal is really to mitigate contribution volatility for the city. That's what's trying to be accomplished here. And the total amount that was put in, or that's in that reserve as of 2001 was $15.5 million, and it's grown with interest. As of October 1, 2024, it's $16.8 million. And the board...
I'd just like to jump in here. The supplemental distribution, there's a requirement in our plan that if the plan becomes 100% funded, that a certain amount of earnings above your assumption gets divided amongst all your retirees, and they get a supplemental distribution. In 2021, the returns were so good, we were over 100% funded, and you may remember each of our retirees got a supplemental distribution of around $70,000. And for many of the retirees whose annual pension funds were $35,000, $40,000, it really had a significant impact. But of course, we made that distribution, so that brought down our funded ratio. And at the same time, the next year, 2022, was down 16%. So just as a little bit of background.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and like Jack said, that's what, we made the payment, and that brought down the funded ratio, but then to exacerbate things, fiscal year ending 22 happened, and that's why we're currently in a $65 million cumulative loss position. But this year will help a little bit maybe at the margin to dig us out of that position. Regarding the contribution stabilization reserve, again, to mitigate contribution volatility for the city, the board has adopted a set of rules which determine how much of that contribution stabilization reserve will be used each year. And again, in this year's report, or the 2024 report, through that policy, written policy that the board has, there was the application of $2.1 million to reduce the required city contribution. Slide 18 to 20 covers the assumption changes that were reflected in our October 1, 2024 evaluation report. And the salary increase assumption was updated to reflect there was a one-time 17% pay increase that was negotiated. Obviously, as pay goes up in the pension plan, that's going to increase the liability, which decreases the funded ratio, increases the required city contribution. So that assumption change, along with a mandated change to the mortality table assumption, both of those items were reflected in our 2024 report, and that did cause a lion's share of the increase in the required contribution from our 2023 report to 2024. It was responsible for $2.9 million of the increase, which was, I think, $4.3 million. So let's turn to page 19 and talk about where is the required city contribution going in future years. Is it, again, going to go up or down or stay the same? A lot of that will be dictated by what happens in financial markets. And I don't think I have to tell you, but financial markets since March of 2009 have been incredible. They've really been very solid for the last 16 years. We've had some bumps in the road. 2022 was certainly one of those bumps. But in general, very, very strong returns. If those returns are replicated over the next several years, we will have downward pressure on that required city contribution. It will go down with good investment earnings as long as they surpass our assumption of 7% per year. Conversely, if we have years like we had from 2000 through March of 2009, sort of the lost decade of investment earnings, it's so far in the past, I think people forget, but that those returns in pension plans were very muted. They were 3.5% per year. And when you're assuming 7% per year, that difference, that loss of 4% every year, will compound in a very negative way. So my point is, if we return to that period of time, you're going to see upward pressure on the required city contribution. The truth is, we don't know. We don't have a crystal ball. We don't know which of those is going to happen or if it'll be somewhere in between those. But there are a couple things that we do know. Number one, when we do your calculations of the required contribution and the funded ratio, we used the smooth value of assets. That doesn't recognize all the good or all the bad in the year it happens, and it's a smoothing mechanism. So it helps the city with not having these peaks and big rises and falls in the required contribution. So that smooth value of assets is actually higher than the market value of assets as of October 1, 24 by $8 million. So that difference represents deferred investment losses. That's not good news. We have $8.2 million of deferred investment losses to recognize over the next several years. And just to give you a sense, if we just said, oh, let's recognize it today, contribution goes up for the city goes up by $600,000. So we have that pressure. We know that's there. But now we just finished fiscal year ending 2025, and we had a nice return, almost 9% versus the assumed 7%. So what's going to happen is that's going to eat into some of that bad news that I just mentioned. So that's sort of how that's going to play out. But largely, the direction of the required city contribution will be dictated by what sort of investment returns we get in the pension plan.
There are some other changes, too, that will be having an impact. Hiring more officers, the wages going up, which is great for the officers, the members of the fund. And also there's been a change in the multiplier. And so that will have an impact on the costs, too.
Yep, exactly. And keep in mind that first part of the required contribution, the normal cost, it really tracks your payroll. So to Jack's point, if you add offices or increase payroll, well, the dollar amount required city contribution is going to increase for the city. There has been a change. The benefit multiplier has changed from 3%, and is that officially passed yet, or 3% to 3.2%?
Yeah.
No. So that's officially passed. So that as a result, the contribution, very rough figures, will increase by about $1 million. So we know that that's there also.
There is a special act in the legislature this session to adopt some of the changes in the
Very good.
mortality table, the IRS regs, and the numbers we're talking about.
Fantastic. Yep. Yeah. And just one last page or slide I'd like to cover, slide 20. It shows a comparison of the employer normal cost for several public safety plans across the state of Florida. These comparisons are from our 2024 report. And remember, the normal cost, all that represents really is the value of the accruals from the active members of the plan each year. So it's a good metric of how do you compare the plan provisions for one plan to another plan. It's not exact because each plan uses different assumptions and has some differences, but it should give you a good idea of where the plan provisions for this plan fall in relation to other plans. Again, it's not meant to be an exact measure due to the changes in assumptions between the plans, but you could see from this slide that the bottom plan, because it's sorted alphabetically, West Palm Beach Police, you can see the normal cost rate there is 24.33%, and that's really in line with the average of these 19 public safety plans that we handle, where it's 24.3%. So very much in line with the average. At a very high level, we could say that the plan benefits for this plan are somewhat in line with the other, or the 19 plans on this list. But that concludes my review of the PowerPoint presentation, and I'll turn it over to you all to see if there's any questions or concerns, anything that Jack or I could help with.
Questions? Commissioner Ward?
Thank you. This is more of an internal question. I'm noticing, why is there such a difference between the fire and the police? We've like 24 versus 9%.
It's a great question. Our company actually is the actuary for the fire plan. I am not. And I looked at it this morning also, and I'm like, I think there may be something provided outside of the pension plan for the firefighters, but don't hold. I could research that and get back to you, but it struck me because they're right next to each other, first of all, and obviously same city. But I wasn't aware of the exact reasons, but I think they may have something offered outside the pension plan, and that's why this number is so low, the 9%.
Could I follow up? Just Administrator Johnson, I see you looking at the fine. Will you get back to me on that, if you don't mind? Thank you so much.
Any other questions?
I would like to then add one little thing that I think you might find interesting. There are a lot of aspects to the fund, and amongst them, we have a number of investments in many companies, and we do monitor those. We have law firms that monitor, so if there's been any improper activity that has impacted our returns, that oftentimes there is securities litigation to try and recoup some of the funds. We do get involved occasionally as a lead plaintiff, and just recently we've been named to be lead plaintiff in a case. This is the Police Pension Fund, and we are suing Krispy Kreme donuts.
That's not sweet.
Yeah. But I thought people would find that amusing that the police are going after the donuts.
Jack, Jeff, do you have any idea how many minority or women-owned businesses we're using as part of our investment portfolio?
Actually, we do have some information on that. I don't have the specific numbers, but some of our managers, I know, our fixed income is, I think that firm is something like 2/3 women and 80% minority.
Can you follow up and distribute that information to us, please?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions? Okay, thank you so much for a very fine presentation, and sounds like we're in pretty good shape.
Thank you very much. Nice to see you all again.
Absolutely. Thank you. Okay, item 2, annual public art report update. Sabile Cantel. Sabile?
Give us 1 second.
Yeah, take your time. Well, not too much time.
No. Oh, we're at the end. All right. Good morning. Sabile Cantel, Director of Arts, Culture, and Community Building. I am happy to be here this morning. I'm going to go over the public art program's year. So we start off with a beautiful picture of what normally our West Palm Beach looks like. So the Art in Public Places, since 2015, the city's West Palm Beach Public Art Program has, through its Percent for Art initiative, commissioned permanent artworks and presented temporary public art projects by internationally recognized artists, including Yinka Shonibari, Fred Eversley, Kiki Smith, Alexander Areche, Rose Wiley, and Nikisha Durrett, while also championing our local talents, such as Renee Phillips, Molly Aubrey, Isabel Govea, and Ben Leone. Together, these public artworks, these projects have helped shape the vibrant and cultural identity of the city. And over the past year, the program has collaborated with 11 local artists, many international, nationally recognized artists, along with the private and public partners to create works that foster a shared and collective imagination and that continue to contribute to the city's identity. So the public art program is housed within the mayor's office. It is led, I am happy to say, now by 2 individuals. 10 months ago, Carolina Puente joined the team, and we are mighty 2 now. She is the public art coordinator, and she comes with a tremendous background, and together we are forging ahead and continuing with our public art program. Along with that, we have a professional public art advisory committee. This advisory committee are 9 individuals who are experts in the field of art, design, architecture, development, and the art market. There are 9 individuals, 7 members, 2 alternates. They're all appointed by the mayor, and they either live or work in the city. I need to stress that in their careers, they are somehow involved in the arts. So having them as an advisory, bless you, as an advisory committee is essential to the success of this program. Public art by the numbers for our FY. We were very busy. 11 temporary projects, 8 permanent artworks came to be. We completed 23 commissions. There's 6 in production. We have a tremendous more to review. And the 214.4 million economic impact, that comes out of an independent research that is done through American for the Arts that then takes that number and goes into the economy of the Palm Beach County, and then takes that and did one specifically for the city of West Palm Beach. And that can be made available to all of you. We have copies of that. So just to give you a visual of the permanent and temporary artworks that have transpired in this past year, as well as the approved public art projects. And the names of all the artists, if you see the asterisks, that means they are local artists. Double asterisks means local artists who had permanent commissions, whether it was through the private or public sector. And now I'm going to start off with our percent for art projects. Our first one, Fred Eversley. This was an iconic artist who unfortunately passed away this beginning of last year, excuse me, we're in 2026. And he was an artist who continued in his practice of 50 years at the intersection of science and art. He was very dedicated, and it is our honor to have his last large-scale public art installation in the city of West Palm Beach. See if I can... And I'm just going to go through these in silence real quick in memory of him. So as I said, it's a tremendous honor to have such an iconic artist in the city. Another artist that comes in, this is at 300 Banyan, Rodrigo Gargaza, came in through Mexico City. He is known for taking our childhood objects, toys, and creating large-scale objects. And so Jack Hollow sits on the corner of Banyan and Olive. Louise Jones, formerly known as Wheezy, she actually is Chinese-American, resides in Minneapolis, and is known for her large-scale floral murals, and she has one here in the alleyway off of Olive, right behind the 300 Banyan project. Nestor Guzman, he is a local artist who was identified to be part of a community-based 3 neighborhood initiatives in the north end of the city. He is an artist who has a very specific talent. It's very rare to find a sculptor who only works in marble. It is a form that many sculptors don't take on. So Nestor Guzman was able to work with the 3 neighborhoods to create a site-specific piece that they actually chose. Annie Morris is an artist based out of London, and she has a piece now in City Place that is an entry point off of Hibiscus. Another New York-based artist is Amy Lincoln, who took her ephemeral paintings, and we made a large-scale painting, and it sits also off of Rosemary in a sort of surprise setting, if you will. And across from it now will be a new restaurant, whose name drifts off, sorry. Another piece that came through City Place with Related Ross was Clip Collective. They are known for bringing science, technology, and sound, and they have Esper down the lane, and that's an entry point into their City Place. Recently, Kiki Smith's The Weather was installed at Forte. This is just as a reminder, there is a public art walk that is accessible from the backside of PBAU, where in the Norton, and it crosses over into North Flagler. So there'll be another piece there too, but Kiki Smith is an iconic artist. Just to note, She is one of the artists who's also won from the state a National Sculpture Award. That's one of the highest regarded things that you can get on a federal level. Allison Janae Hamilton's piece, Love is Like the Sea, is the piece that will be coming on to the artwork as well. The pedestal is ready and it's in storage right now and should happen before the end of the month. Rose Wiley, this is an artist in her 90s, and she has given us Pineapple that now sits also at Forte on North Flagler as an entry point into that development. Renee Phillips, it was awarded through the Northwood The Spruce Project. She is a local artist, went through a competitive process, and she was awarded a large-scale mural project, and I'll give you a little glimpse of how that occurred.
It is mid-August, and it is 95 degrees, and yeah, it's hot. I'm artist Renee Phillips, and I'm creating the tallest public art mural in Northwood. This is 8 stories and 8 stories. I'm working with Ben from Chalk and Brush, and we're currently laying out the doodle grid. What's a doodle grid? Well, it may look super funky and like graffiti art now, but it's going to serve as reference points for layering my art on top of it. You just got to trust the process on this one. I'm a process-based artist, and this is a huge process, but that's enough for a whole separate video. It is...
Our next initiative, the Commons, which is a local artists initiative. This started during COVID as a ways to give back to our local creatives. It is now in its third iteration, 5 artists, 5 spaces, and this allows artists to go from the studio into the public realm. I consider it under professional development for our local artists, and it goes back, the income of it goes back into our local artists initiatives. So we had 5 artists, very diverse, different backgrounds culturally, but also in where they were in their art practice. Ocean Echoes was Milena Aragon. She did this for Jose Marti, and she had a lot of community engagement to do this. A lot of people helped her on that one. Endless Summer by Alan Greery. He's a pop artist and was able to create a piece for the urban. You guys see this every morning. Canopy Realm by Gregory, and the little ones love this piece. And this was based out of a painting that he did, and he brought it to life as a sculptural piece. Endless Summer by May O'Malley. She has taken over both the Mandel Library's elevators, wrapped them into a storyline, and then created this furthering this comic strip into the 3rd floor children's area. And on the 4th floor is a poem by Let Me Bring You Something Beautiful by Kameta Pearl. And she did this beautiful piece that is all textural, and it's quite stunning. If you haven't seen it, I encourage you to go upstairs to the 4th floor Mandel Library. Another local artist initiative is at the Urban, presenting Tree Fall. This is 5 local women artists. They have a collective in Northwood, and they have come together, and they do a lot of programming out of their Northwood studio. And the opportunity was presented to them to create pieces specific to the Urban. So for a lot of them, this is the first time where they have taken their artwork and have seen it in a larger scale and in public. So Isabel Goveas and also Molly Aubry's. This is Natalie Ho. She has never done anything beyond a format of 3x4. So to have the ability to create something in large scale like this was a tremendous for her as an artist. Michelle Miller, these are beautiful pieces. I encourage you to go see them. They're actually, it's paper that she uses, crushed oyster shells that she gets discarded from restaurants, goes through this whole process and creates her own paper using these different materials. And the last one, Eloise Jansen, she goes out and collects things from the beaches, and then she recontextualizes them in an art form. So what was once precious gets discarded and then gets recontextualized as art form. A couple of other community-based public art initiatives that happened this past year include a community portrait. That was JR's international well-known initiative. And as a lot of you know, a team of two came out and they took black and white portraits of anyone who wanted to, mostly residents and visitors. They did this for a 3-week span, and then they were put out in different parts of the city. The installations were both temporary, ephemeral, like a couple of days, and some lasted well over 3 months. What was interesting about this project also, not only they aimed for 500, we did over 800 portraits, and the portraits were scattered everywhere. So it didn't matter where you lived, it was, you had to go and find yourself, your friends, your neighbors. And the last one being here at the Urban. I think you recognize some faces. Jack and Tom are in there. Another one is Collection Connection, which is an initiative we did with the library. And this was an educational component to what we do, where we created passport books for both the youth and adults, and we used that as a tool to go out and look at art. Because, sometimes you go look at art and in order to facilitate the questions maybe you should be asking or haven't considered asking. We also, and with this, I do some art walks. I'll just show you. So everybody was given their books. I would explain the artwork. And then they took their books and just picked out some of the questions they wanted and had an opportunity to really think about what they were looking at. Another initiative we did, this one's on social media, Frame Your Neighborhood. And this one took it across the city where we were looking at a social media platform to see how others look at the city, like the beauty of it, the culture of it, the people, the places they like to hang out. So what we're trying to do is both do things on a technical level to get a larger audience and also on the ground. Some programming highlights. Again, we always partner with the library. They're a great partner. We're able to do a lot of programming, so a lot of these local artists also get an educational component out of it where they are able to do workshops, both adult and for children. We have a big social media platform now. Instagram has grown tremendously, and I give kudos to Carolina because she took that initiative over. We've done a lot of publications. The publications, it's not so much that the publication is saying, this is the public art program, but they are highlighting artists who come through the program, and that is really key also. Some big names too. Art in America Art Forum, those are big. And we get a lot of publicity, which is great. So looking ahead, you've seen some of these, the commissioners have already approved them. They're in production. They will happen this 2026. You'll see Nora, One West Palm, and Celeste Palm Station. And then another visual view of the map shows you permanent, temporary, approved, and what's in review. What's in review is with planning and zoning. I am part of that planning review, and so these maybe have a potential to have art. We're still in that discussion mode. But just to give you the numbers. And this, I just want to emphasize, as the city grows, this program grows with it, and everything that happens is happening simultaneously. Highlights to come, as I mentioned before, just a couple of ones. The 5-year master plan, the public art ordinance will be coming to a city commission soon. And then I want to emphasize two. And I don't remember when the last time this has happened. The Florida Public Art Professionals Annual Conference is coming to the city of West Palm Beach. I am co-hosting this with the Public Art Administrator of the county, and we will have all administrators from the entire state in the city of West Palm Beach. And this will happen April 27th to the 30th, and I will be putting that on your calendars. On a Tuesday, the county will highlight their program. Wednesday, the city highlights theirs. which includes keynote speakers, public art tours, and the many. So I'm really excited about this. This is a big thing for the city to co-host and to have all these different people come. The next one is a free digital guide. Carolina is going to be trained. It's a 13-week training to get a free digital guide. Bloomberg Connects has created this amazing art guide, this app that is free for users. It's free for us. But what it does is it gives an international capacity so that when visitors come here, they can just go on, and I'll give you a glimpse. So you download your app, you will see West Palm Beach. You will go to a welcome. You will go to a guided tour. You can go to a map. It has, can't remember how many languages, like over 100 languages that you can get onto. And then you can make your own walking map. You can go and explore. You can create your stops. And it all looks the same, and we will be part of this, which I'm really excited about. And so, in conclusion, I just want to say that, you know, the city has been dedicated for over a decade now, and then when Mayor James came in and, you know, put the program under the mayor's office, it made a tremendous leap. And the one thing that we do, the one thing that we consistently do is to bring that direct art experience to the public. You know, it's a democracy, and we constantly talk about all the different ways we can bring that experience to a public, because that's the unknown. We don't know our public, but we want to foster that art is just central to public life. And for that concludes my my presentation this morning. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Sabile, and you have confirmed why I wanted to bring you directly under and into my office. The importance of public art to a city, to a community, I don't think could be overstated. And that last comment you made about making art available to the public is consistent with my vision, making West Palm Beach a community of opportunity for all, where people can, and art is part of that, where folks can walk throughout our city, no matter their origins, where they come from, and they could view high quality art, and you're bringing art to the people. Can you speak a little bit, because you've been in this area for a decade at least, as to, from your perspective, the importance of art to the fabric of a city?
Oh, absolutely. If you take a moment, because I visualize everything, so if you take a moment and you take all the art out of the city, and you take all the cultural institutions out of a city, what do you have? You have a really boring city. You need that. People need that. We don't know what we need until we see it. And then, you know, this morning I was driving and I saw Jack Hollow, and I saw two people in business suits walking really fast. I know they were going towards the county, but they stopped. They looked at it, they said something to each other, and they walked, and I saw one of them look back again. That's the impact. That tells me that without that piece there, like, would they have had, you know, they would have just kept walking. But you don't know these things, and I think that one of the things that this has done, when I speak to a lot of developers now, they say, you know, you have an identity, and that there's an art identity. People talk about the specific art that is happening, and that has happened organically. If you look at the art that we have, besides the diversity culturally of the artists, right? And I don't mean just their backgrounds, but where they are. We have a lot of artists who speak about the light in our city, about water, about the sun, about playfulness, about the pop of color. That brings this identity. So when we talk about public art being integrated into our public realms, we are talking about co-creating. I say co-creating because I'm not doing it just by myself. the architecture, the landscape, the institutions. We're co-creating an identity for the city. And that means volumes, because people come and sit. One of the first things people do, I get phone calls all the time. How can I get into I want to see your stuff. I want, I saw a glimpse here or there. Where's the rest of it? And I put them to our art map. But now I'll be able to say we're on Bloomberg Connects, which I'm very excited about. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Questions, comments, Commissioner Ward?
Thank you, Sabila. I echo the mayor. I think it's been a phenomenal progression for our city, and I just want to. I mean, you've seen as a mom just the bears that were out front, and now that with little kids, it's nice to just stop and invoke their curiosity in space, and I think that's been phenomenal, and I hope we continue to spread doing that, and the gallery and everyone's portraits. That was probably one of my most favorite moments of just being experiences within the city, because at meetings she was there. She was hanging out with my residents, and then it was just the fun of having your picture being taken, and it wasn't supposed to be serious. It was supposed to be a fun moment, and it was. And so she was all over the place getting to learn, know everybody. And I think it speaks volumes that it was hundreds more portraits than you guys wanted, because people were excited about it and they wanted to see their face and go visit Pleasant City or the Norton or the side of the building to see it. And then just one more comment before I ask my question. I was at the Green Market and leaving on Saturday, and there was a family clearly from out of town, and all of them gathered together in front of the piece at 300 Banyan to take a photo in front of that, and just corralling. And I stopped for a second because it was really funny to think, wow, they're taking their family photo right there in front of that piece of art. And so it matters. It really does bring people together, whether it's conversations, thought-provoking, or curiosity in and of itself. So I'm forever grateful for the things that we're doing within the city. About a year ago, maybe, we were all down by the waterfront listening to the one artist who's done the street murals. And is that one of the? She did the one that was over the overpass on the bridge, and I think out west. And the mayor, you were there, and she was working on a piece that potentially for the waterfront. Hispanic woman.
Teresita Fernandez? Teresita?
Yes.
Yes.
Is that still in progress?
That's on pause right now,
Okay.
and it'll soon be in development again, and everybody will know when it's ready.
Okay, I'm excited about that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Well, again, wonderful job, Sibylia.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work. One last question. Are you getting reception from the developers? I mean, with all these new buildings coming up, and I don't know if they're sticker shock because of the price involved.
No, I would have to say that everyone is more excited about what they can bring into. People understand now, it wasn't like from 10 years ago. They understand that what that art speaks to their architecture, their building, their brand, whatever it is, but also speaks to the city and why they chose the city of West Palm Beach. So more often than not, when I meet them, there are deep discussions on what's the best thing that we can bring and what does that look like. So I'm really excited. I mean, I think we're just in this great point,
Great.
The struggle is done.
Thanks for all you do. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, I don't have anything on the mayor's matters. Anybody else have anything for the good of the body? Okay, well, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Have a great week, everyone.
Thank you.